Hi, 8th graders. I thought I would go over some of the problems that you're going to see on the final exam so you could review. First one is one we've seen this semester. Write a linear equation in slope-intercept form to model the monthly cost. An internet company charges $4.95 per month plus $2.50 for each hour of use. So let's break that down into the parts that we need. We know the company charges $4.95 just to have an account with them, plus $2.50 for each hour, so times each hour of use. All right, and we have to write this in slope-intercept form, which we all know by now is y equals m, our slope, x plus b, and b represents our y-intercept. So to write this particular problem in slope-intercept form, we have a y is equal to, we know our slope is $2.50 because it is next to the letter x. We have the letter x plus our constant, which represents b, 4.95. So y equals 2.50x plus 4.95 is the slope-intercept form for this problem. Okay, the next type of problem that you're going to see is write an equation of the line that passes through the pair of points, something that we did a lot this semester. So let's review that, and we need to write it in two different forms, slope-intercept form and in standard form. So first thing that we need, if we're going to write this in slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b, we need to find m, which is our slope. And then once we find that, we can plug everything in and find b, which is our y-intercept. So, do you remember the slope formula? It is slope is equal to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So looking at our 2 points, we have x1 and y1 to represent point 1, and point 2 is represented by x2 and y2. So using this formula, let's go ahead and plug in. We've got y2, which is 5, minus y1, which is 2, all over x2 minus x1. And if we simplify that, 5 minus 2 is 3. Negative 5 minus 1 is negative 6. And we further simplify because negative 3/6 reduces to negative 1/2. And that represents our slope. I'm going to make myself a note right there. Okay, so now we have some x values, some y values, and our slope value. We can use that information to find our y-intercept, which is represented by the letter b. So we have our slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. We can plug in any of these xy values to that. We can plug in the first point or the second point. I'm going to choose the first point, just simply because there's no negatives. It's the first one. 1 and 2 look like easy numbers to deal with, but the second point, negative 5 comma 5, would work too, and we get the same answer. So for our y value, let's plug in 2. This 2 right here, and that is equal to negative 1/2, which is our slope, times our x value, which is 1, plus b. Now, all we need to do is simply solve for b. So to do that, let's go ahead and clean this up a little and do negative 1/2 times 1, which is just negative 1/2 plus b. And then let's go ahead and get b by itself. So we have negative 1/2. We are going to add 1/2 to both sides of the equation. And what happens is these two cancel out, and we are left with b is equal to 2 plus 1/2 is 2.5. Now we have our value for b. Let's go ahead and put this all back together now in slope-intercept form. Y equals negative 1/2 x plus 2.5. That is our slope-intercept form for the line that will go through these 2 points. Okay. Now we also have to write this in standard form. And if you remember, standard form has some rules, and it is set up like this: ax plus by equals c. All right, so we need x and y on the left side of the equal sign and our constant on the right. So let's go ahead and take the equation that we have in this form and go ahead and move some things around. So first step, let's go ahead and add 1/2 x to both sides, which will cause these two to cancel out, and we end up with 1/2 x plus y equals 2.5. Now, remember these rules, we cannot have any fractions, so we'll have to get rid of those. And our a value, cannot be a negative number. Easy enough to fix the fractions. Just find the most common denominator of 1/2 and 2.5 and multiply every single term by that denominator. So our common denominator this time is 2, so we will multiply every single term by 2. So 1/2 times 2 is 1x, and 2 times y is 2y, and 2.5 times 2 is 5. That is our standard form. Now we have no more fractions. Our a value, which is 1, is positive. Our b value is 2, and our c value is 5. So standard form, x plus 2y equals 5. That's how you put them in both forms. And let me show you how these forms are both very, very useful for graphing. What this means, so we were given that point 1, 2 and negative 5, 5, and we wrote an equation that when you graph it will go through those 2 points. And I want to demonstrate that we did this right, so you can always check yourself. Let's go ahead and make our line, and let's review how we make a graph off of our slope-intercept form equation. So 2.5 represents our y-intercept. So starting with the origin, we're going to go up 2.5, and we are going to put a dot right there. And then we're going to follow our slope. It is in the negative direction. We're going to go down 1, right 2. Down 1, right 2. Or we could go up 1, left 2, up 1, left 2, and we can make as many dots as we want. Notice how they all line up perfectly straight. So tricky on a smartboard, it's good to use a ruler, but I'm going to make the straightest line I possibly can through these points. And let's see, So our first point that this equation goes through is 1, comma 2, which is right there. And look at that. We are right on our line. And let's try another one. Negative 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the negative direction, and then up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And look at that. We are right back on our line. So we know that we did this right. So we also had this in standard form, didn't we? And we had x plus 2y equals 5. Well, remember, another way you can graph is to use the intercepts when you're in standard form. Basically means you can break this into two problems. X equals 5, so ignoring the term with the y in it, and then also ignore the term with the x in it. And x equals 5, starting with the origin, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is right here. There's a point that's right on our line. Solve for y on this one. Y equals 5 over 2, which is 2.5, starting with our origin, 1, 2.5. And connect the dots, and we are on our line. So there's really advantages to both slope-intercept form and standard form. It's all stuff you learn this semester. It will definitely be on the final exam. So hopefully I have demonstrated this and give you something that you can practice with. We will do a lot of practice problems this week in class, getting ready for the final exam. I'm excited because it means the end of the quarter and Christmas break, so you should be too. But we will get through, and you are going to do awesome on this final. All right, see you in class. Let's go. I-O.